Greetings, everyone. My name is Sanjiv Venkatram, and welcome to another episode of User Delight with Microsoft Technology. In this episode, we'll be designing a retrieval and task agent using the Microsoft Copilot Studio. And so let's head on over to the studio to know more. Thank you very much. Right. So here we are in Microsoft 365. So the very first thing we do is to log into literally office.com. You would go up to a tab on the Edge browser. It could be any browser, Chrome as well. And you just type office.com, and then it'll ask you to sign in, and kindly go ahead and sign in using your work account. I've signed in here. I'm going to stay here. And then down below, you actually see apps here. And if you were to click on apps, I have pinned a number of apps here, but you could go to all apps. And from all apps, you will see a selection of apps here on the top. Kindly go to all apps, shows you all your apps. And you could go ahead and benchmark a few apps like, Power Apps. You could pin it. You could pin Power Automate, Power BI. You could pin SharePoint, Microsoft Forms, Teams, so on and so forth. So I've got a whole slew of apps that I've actually pinned here. Comes in very handy. I do a bunch of video editing, so I've got Clipchamp. Stream gives you videos as well. OneNote is a great tool, SharePoint, so on and so forth. Okay. But to get to the Copilot Studio, you click on Power Apps, and this goes away and opens up your Power Apps environment. Now you got to be very careful here. The first thing you check is to make sure you're in the right environment. Now, hopefully your IT hasn't put you in the default environment and has put you in some sort of an environment that is, a manifestation of your business unit, so on and so forth, right? Hopefully you're not in the default, because once you're in the default, it can be pretty confusing. You can have a whole slew of applications, automations, so on and so forth, solutions in the default, and it'll kind of become hard to identify your particular agent here. Anyway, so I am in, let us say, an environment. I'm in Prudential. As of now, I said don't use the default, and here I am in the default environment. But in my case, since I'm just doing a hands-on, by-step process, it really doesn't matter where I put this, because this is meant just for a breakdown purpose and not production purposes, right? So from here, you click on Power Platform on the left-hand side here. At times, you won't be able to see this. What you would need to do is to kind of decrease the zoom or the resolution, and then you would then be able to find Power Platform on the left-hand side. And from here, you click on Copilot Studio, which opens up your Copilot Studio right here, right? And then as you notice here, we're in the same environment as we started off in our Power Apps, right? So that's one important thing to check. Then on the left-hand side here, you actually see a series of icons, one of which is basically agents. So I click on agents here. Now, as you can see here, you'll see a whole slew of agents, but they're also ready-made agents such as the Q&A, weather, financial insights, IT help desk, so on and so forth. So technically, you could actually leverage these agents that come directly from Microsoft. But if you want to build your own agent, you would actually go up here and then say, create a blank agent, right? And I could go up here as well. There's a bunch of agents that I've actually designed that show up here. But you could go up and say, create a blank agent, and this basically goes away and gets you to the designer. Takes a couple of minutes for it to get provisioned. So we'll wait a bit. And there you go. It's gone in and brought us to the studio. Now, what we're going to do here is to retrieve information from a couple different places. We are going to actually go to a generic site, GPT as an example, and then ask it a question and bring information. So that would be a generic search. Then we are going to actually go upload a document and then search or summarize that particular document. That's yet another way of actually searching for information. A third way, and the more right royal way of actually doing this, is to go to SharePoint, and then within SharePoint going to the document library, and then actually having something resident on your library and summarizing that information, right? So three different things, right? As we get into retrieval, we'll also get into tables within SharePoint and seek information from there. And you know, that comes under a different category of task management, because we are going to look at leave and benefits and so on and so forth. We'll get there when we get there. But for now, our eyes are on retrieving information, summarizing information, and putting it in front of the user. Okay, so let's actually do that. So when we're here in our Copilot Studio, we start with the overall architecture, the overview of the agent. On the right-hand side, you actually see there is a little space here for us to test the agent as we go along. And so you can develop it, test it, and once you're happy with it, you actually publish it to wherever you have to publish it, okay? So firstly, you go in and name the agent. So I'm basically going to go say, call this agent enablement, right? Or training, whichever, right? So you would go in and give it a description. You say that this agent assists us in retrieving information from a generic search of the Copilot, or from an loaded document, or from a SharePoint library, okay, library, okay. Potentially you could do websites as well, but the concept is basically the same thing, right? AI has ruined me. All right. It also participates in task management. In this case, getting leave balance information from SharePoint and asking our manager for approval, and based on which the records in SharePoint will suitably be updated, right? Please updated. Please be careful when you actually add this description, because you don't want the user to know where the data is actually stored. This I'm doing it more for your eyes only, okay, as a maker. Then when you select the GPT model here, you could basically say, hey, GPT Auto. So that would either use the quick one or the reasoning, which takes a little bit of time. You could basically go in and select the Anthropic models as well. Just depends on what you're trying to do. GPT-5 Auto would be perfect, right? So you select this here. The Claude models are more, Anthropic models are more for coding and such, but we are not doing coding here, right? So we've got our, well, the description kind of went away here. Unfortunately, I should have actually saved this. Nonetheless, you get the idea. I'm going to actually select this here, right? And I'm going to actually call this agent enablement as well. Okay, and save this, and this is just going to say here for description. I'm going to edit this again in a second, and then basically say this agent is used for information retrieval from generic GPT search. Nowadays, I think most people understand GPT. uploaded document, website, and documents on SharePoint. It also does task management and workflow approvals, gets information, leave information from SharePoint, asks the user for action based on which approvals are sought from the manager and the records in SharePoint are suitably updated. Okay, you could add proper, a proper description later, when you really design the agent. Then you have instructions, and instructions can be acted on as well, right? It's not necessary that you have to, but it's good to have these instructions that, at least in terms of, being professional in the language, the tone being warm, so on and so forth. And those are two generic things you could do. And then you could also provide information about how the bot behaves actually with instructions as well. For now, I'm just going to say use business professional language, flag abusive language, right, and so on and so forth, right? Okay, so we'll leave this here for now, and we're going to save this. Now, when we come to knowledge sources, we can add them here, or we could actually go up here and add those sources. So what we could do is we could add a few knowledge sources. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically go in and add a file as an example. So I'm going to say upload a file, and let me just see here. I am going to go select let me see here. I'm trying to find something that let me just look at this one for a quick second. I'm going to open this. Okay, I mean, it's got some policy informations, general principles, expenses, blah, blah, blah. This seems like a nice document. So what I'm going to do is, select that as a data source. I'm going to go basically add this in, right? And it says only text-based files are supported, images, audio, video, or executables are not, and files will be securely stored in Dataverse. It doesn't say where exactly it is actually stored in Dataverse. That is left to the agent, but we've been able to here add a document. Now, kindly note that this is being indexed, and the indexing is in process. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. It gets it done fairly quickly, okay? So then what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to add other knowledge sources. As an example, I'm going to go basically to a public website. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over to Microsoft.com, and there is Microsoft websites, and we can go in and ask questions, I suppose, on the latest Surface for business, so on and so forth, or Teams, Microsoft Teams for business, and so on, right? So I'm going to actually select this site here, Control C, go back to the agent and add this, right? And that's about it. You know, if you want to, you can give it a description of sorts. I'm just going to add this without any for now, like just going to retain whatever is there. But you know, that's another thing that you could do. Be it known that if you have cascading cards that actually have Java programming in them, there potentially could be issues in the agent going into the coding and actually retrieving the data source. So kindly be aware of that, okay? In those cases, it is better to actually go with getting at the actual source, making a PDF out of it, and then hosting that PDF on or PDF on SharePoint, which is exactly what we're going to do now, right? So I'm going to go to another source here, and this time it's going to be SharePoint, and I'm going to basically, you can either enter the URL or you can browse to it. I'm going to literally browse to it, and I'm going to basically say, you know, my site is in document merge, right? So find my site, and then this is it. Here is the document. So this is good enough. I'm just going to say confirm selection, right? So it's basically the document library here, the document library inside of Prudentia. I mean, I'm not going to get into each of these folders. This is good enough. And then I have my PDF sitting here, okay? It can actually get into the folders as well, drill into the folders and bring information over, but you know, I have my file sitting right up front. That should be good enough for me for now, okay? So I've got my SharePoint as well, and it takes a little bit of, depending on the size of the file, it takes a little bit of time for it to go index this. In this case, let me just see, yeah, there you go, it's ready as well. So we've got our sources, we've got the general GPT search, we'll come to that shortly. Then we've got our Word document that has been uploaded, we've got the website and the SharePoint site, right? So we're good to go for now. So if you go to knowledge here, it basically reflects the same thing, that these have been added here, right? And the status is ready for them to use, right? With this, we get in now to topics. Now, what are these topics? They're basically points of conversation, right? And you have two types of topics. You've got custom topics and system topics, right? So what I'm going to do with these custom topics is going to turn them off because I don't need them right now. So I'm going to just actually turn them off, and I'm going to go actually create my own topics, okay? Custom topics. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the system topics. And as you can see in system topics, they are ready-made topics for you. As an example, conversation start is where the agent says hi to you and then kicks off the conversation. Conversation boosting is where you have no topic that actually matches the question that the user is asking. And so this takes the conversation over to GPT and then answers back the question, right? So that's conversation boosting, and I would recommend that you keep this on. Then you have the end of conversation. What do you do when you're done and you say bye-bye? So is there a customer satisfaction kind of a star that you can select, a ranking or a rating that you can select that would influence, you know, how well the bot is actually performed. Then if you want to escalate to a warm body, you can. Do you want a standard answer fallback when the answer that you've provided to the user, it doesn't suffice? So that's fallback, so on and so forth, right? So what we'll do here is we're going to get into the conversation start topic to begin with, right? So I'm going to click on conversation start, and then here what I'm going to do is, you know, there's a trigger is the start point of the conversation when the user says hi, or when you basically like ready-made, when you bring this agent up, it comes back and says hi to you and you start. So that's a trigger, right? Then it sends a message out, and as you can actually see here, it says hello and I'm bot name. Now this bot name is a system variable. What's a variable? Like x equals 2 or x equals Sanjiv or whatever. In this case, the name of the variable is bot.name, and it basically is the name of this agent, enablement agent, right? So if I were to go to test here and start a new session, it would go away and then says, hello, I'm enablement agent, how can I help you? Hello, I'm enablement agent, how can I help you? And you can customize this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away and remove all this here. And then I'm going to basically say, greetings, I am Jeannie. And then if you want to, you can go and right mouse and add like an emoji here, something like this. And then say, I'm Jeannie, your very friendly virtual agent. And then say, kindly note that on occasion, I lean on generative AI, right? So kindly validate my responses if you find them ambiguous. Okay, so I have this, and if I were to now save this and then do a new session, you will actually see that this goes away and says, greetings, I'm Jeannie, you're very friendly for blah, 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 right? Whatever messaging you provided, right? Now, you can also go in and add a few things like a few overall variables for the entire agent. They're called global variables, like the user's email, user's name, so on and so forth, right? Whoever's actually logged in, right? You could save those as well, right? But we'll come to that later, right? Now from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a question to the user, right? And I'm going to basically go in and say, so how may I be of assistance to you, my lord? And kindly choose wisely from below. I'm just trying to add some humor. People might be tired, so on and so forth, when they're going through this. So a little bit of warm humor doesn't do anything. It actually may help the cause. And here we've got a bunch of options for us. One is you could do multiple choice, yes, no, whatever. Options from a list, basically variable. You could have A, B, C, D, E as a list. Multiple entities, one of my users' entire response. You could get the entire response of the user, age, so on and so forth, right? So we're going to stick with multiple choice right now. And I'm going to go basically add the first one as generic search. Okay, generic search. The second one is search uploaded document. The third one is you basically search website. And then the fourth one is search SharePoint library. Okay, SharePoint library. And that should be good enough for now, right? So the moment I add this, you will actually see that this, whatever the user selection is basically stored in a variable, right? var1 for now. So I'm going to basically go call this var, and I'm going to make this a little smaller so you can see more. So I'm going to click on this var choice here. I'm going to call this, right? So I'm going to basically call this var okay. I'm going to call this var choice, and then this is going to be a global variable, right? Global variable. Gosh, I think I have a pretty sensitive mouse, and at times it misbehaves. Okay, so I'm going to call this a global variable that basically can be accessed anywhere. Okay, and here too, you can actually carry the values between sessions. External sources can set values. All of these options you have, but for now we're not going to worry about those, right? This is good enough for us, right? So I'm going to basically close this. So now, based on whichever selections you've made here up top, you've got those options, conditions, generic search, you have your uploaded document, website, and then you have your SharePoint library, right? So if I save this and if I were to test this here, so I'm going to go ahead and actually test this like so. Now you will actually see that I've got my boxes here, generic search, uploaded document, search website, library. I'm going to make my thing a little bigger so you'd be able to see it better. See, search, website, so on and so forth, right? So the user now, it is like you're guiding the user as opposed to leaving them completely open to do whatever they want to do. So this becomes a little bit more structured, you know. Don't waste the user's time is the whole point. So if I were to select generic search here, basically go in, I can ask a question here and then say, give me top three frontline workers in healthcare, right? And what this does is it goes to GPT, GPT 5.0, and then retrieves the information, right? It says nurses, physicians, and EMTs. Now, how did it actually go to the generic search? Well, it looked at the options, the uploaded document. Well, we haven't uploaded document yet. We will. Then the website, that is also blank. And then the SharePoint document, right? It said, hey, look, the question doesn't match any of these three. So I'm actually going to go to the topic here, which is the conversational boost topic. Go to GPT, ChatGPT 5.2, and let this answer and brings over the answer, okay? All right, so let's get back here to topics now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each one right now. So we have the generic search. So, we have the generic search. This is it. Then we have the uploaded document, right? Then we have the website, the Microsoft website. And then, oh, by the way, we do have the site. So the question that was asked here of the 3 frontline workers don't match any of those sites. So it went to conversational boosting, right? So what we're going to do is go to specific topics and take the conversation there to that topic, and from there to the right data source, search the source, summarize the data, and bring it back to the user, right? So I'm going to go to add a topic from blank here, and I'm going to basically call this topic as upload, uploaded doc, right? Uploaded doc, right? So this topic pertains only to that document that's been uploaded. So I go up here, and the trigger here is going to be the handshake from the conversation start over to this topic. You follow me? So in conversation start, you basically selected uploaded document, and so it basically hands off to this topic. So the trigger here has to be that. It's a redirection, if you will. So if I were to click on this double-headed arrow, if you just hover on it, you see the double-headed arrow. Kindly excuse me. And then when you click on the double-headed arrow, if you scroll down here, it says it's redirected to. So I'm going to select this redirection here. And then in the node here, I'm going to basically go ask a question to say, well, I could ask a question, yeah? And then basically say, what would you like me to summarize, right? What would you like me to summarize? And then I'm going to go away, and in the question here, I'm basically going to say, get me the user's entire response, right? And I'm going to store this in this variable here, and I'm going to call this variable as var uploaded doc question, right? Var uploaded doc question. And this is going to be limited to the topic, just this topic, right? That's it. I'm not going to use it anywhere except for this topic, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to advanced, and then from here, I'm going to go to generative answers, right? And if I were to go to generative answers, it needs an input, right? If you need a question. So if I were to click on the 3 dots here, I can actually see my local variable, which is the var uploaded question. and that's it. So I'm going to go up to the data source here, and then I'm going to go basically say knowledge sources, search only specific knowledge sources. I don't want it to be a generic search. Go to the Acme expense policy, which is what we uploaded as a document, right? And then I'm going to basically turn off our classical data because I don't want it to go beyond this document. That's it. I want the search to be only to this document, okay? And that's all I need to do. And then I'm going to basically go save this. So this topic to an extent is actually self-contained. Now, obviously, what you could do after this is to basically ask a question back saying, hey, is this sufficient? Yes or no? And if it is no, you basically bring the person back to the question here, and then ask them to, ask the question again. Otherwise, if they're happy, you can end the conversation or exit this topic, whatever you'd like to do, right? This is kind of what I mean. We'll do this here, but we're not going to repeat it everywhere, okay? So I'm going to basically, it's the same logic in every topic, okay? So I'm going to basically go ask a question here, and then I'm going to basically say, does this information suffice? Kindly make your choice below, right? And then I'm going to basically say up here, I'm going to basically say yes. The other one's obviously going to be no. And then based on this yes or no condition here, I'm going to go change this variable here. I'm going to call this var uploaded doc final choice, right? And this is going to be limited to this. That's a long variable, right? But that's okay. If it's equal to yes, if they're happy, then I'm going to basically go up here and I'm going to literally, say topic management and then end current topic, right? So it'll take them back to where they were before. And then if not, if they want more information about this, then I say you go to topic management again, but then here I'm going to basically say go to step, right? And which step do we go to? We basically go back to what would you like me to summarize, right? We go back to this step here because then you ask the question again and so on and so forth, right? So I'm going to save this. So let us see this in action, right? Let's see this in action. In fact, we could just copy this over again if we want to go do another topic, which makes it easy because all these conditions will get copied as well. So here I'm going to basically say search uploaded document. And then so this goes away and takes us over now to, well, actually I should be careful. So I'm going to actually, we are not done yet. We have defined the topic. Yes. So let's go back here, right? If you go to the topics here, we have defined this topic, but we haven't done the handshake with our conversation start, have we? So we go to system topics here, we go to conversation start, and then what we're going to do here is we are going to go to search uploaded document, and then we are going to, so we have all our conditions here. We're going to go to search uploaded document, we're going to go to topic management, then we are going to go to another topic, and we find our custom topic, which is the uploaded document. So now we are doing the handshake from the conversation start over to the uploaded document. So I'm going to go basically save this. So this is done. And then if I were to go over to the Word document for a quick second here, downloads, and let me go to the Word document. And then out here, if I look at this document, right, let us see what questions we can ask of it, right? So basically I can just say, hey, could you give me the general principles of the employee expense policy, right? So I'm going to basically restart this new session, and now if I say search uploaded document, this is going to go over to that specific topic. As you can see here, there's a little bit Sorry, something went wrong. Conversation time. Okay, so I'm going to just refresh this whole thing, right? Sometimes refreshing actually helps. Take a minute or so for this. Okay, there you go. And then I'm going to basically say search uploaded document. And it basically says, hey, what would you like me to summarize, right? I'm going to basically say, give me the general principles for the Acme, I think, what was it called? Acme expense policy, for Acme's expense policy, okay? And let us see what it does. Now this should go over to, yeah, there you go. It's gone over to the policy document, which has been uploaded. And then it goes ahead and summarizes expenses must be necessary, reasonable, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and it's also got the citation here. And if you click this, it actually opens up the document. Okay, so that's how the retrieval from the document actually works. So if I go back to topics here, I already have this topic, so I don't need to recreate this. I can always make a copy of it. So I made a copy. And then I'm going to go change this and then say, this is the uploaded document. I'm going to basically call this website, right? Website, there you go. And then user's entire response here as well. And in this one, I'm going to basically go rename this as var website question, right? And this is going to be again a topic, variable for this topic. In generative answers, I'm going to take this variable from the previous step. I'm going to basically edit the source, and then I'm going to basically say, hey, look, I don't want this Acme document. I want it to go to Microsoft.com, right? Whoops, Microsoft.com, and that's about it, right? I'm going to save this here. So this is saved, right? So now if I were to restart this, well, not quite, right? So this topic is saved. So I go to topics again, and then I'm going to actually go to the system topics. I'm going to go conversation start here, and then I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to go to website, go up here, go to topic management, go to another topic, and then go over to the website, right? So this is now, the handshake has been done from this particular topic, right? So if I go in again, I'm going to save this before I do anything else. And now I'm going to go over to a new search, and I'm going to basically say search website. And then in our website here, I can say, give me more information about teams for business, right? So I can say, give me 5 bullet points about teams for business. Okay, teams for business. So this goes away to the website, and it retrieves the information, enables business to meet calls, chat, collaboration, so on and so forth, online meetings, webinars, unlimited group meetings, and then integrates over 250 business apps, so on and so forth. That is fantastic. Ensures security compliance, blah, 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 right? And it's got the citations here as well, right? Small business, enterprises, and so on and so forth. So this works as well, right? So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to topics here, and then I'm going to copy this website topic over. I'm going to say make a copy. And then here we're actually going to go over to SharePoint, right? So I'm going to say topic SharePoint. And then again, it's a redirection. Get the user's question, put it in a variable. So I'm going to call this, sometimes it takes a bit for it to wake up. So I'm going to basically call this var SharePoint. And then here, this is also pertinent only to this. Go to data sources over here. I'm going to basically say, go to the SharePoint document library, right? So I'm done here. Save this, right? And as you can see, this further goes away and asks the question saying, hey, have I answered your question? If I have, then, good to go. See over here, yes, no, so on and so forth, right? So I've saved this. I'm going to start a new session right now. Basically say, search SharePoint library. This now goes away and says, hey, look, what would you want me to actually search, right? If I still working on it. I think I might as well actually refresh it, right? It's always a good practice to refresh it as soon as you do it so that it doesn't get into any kind of cache issue or whatever while you're testing it, okay? So I'm gonna basically go into search, oh, I need to go to topic again, right? I need to go to topics, that's what happened, right? See, I forget this. So go to topics, go to conversation start. We need to do the handshake, right? We need to do the handshake. So we go down here, we go to SharePoint library. So nothing wrong with the Copilot, it was me that was sleepy. So I go to another topic here and then scroll down and go to topic SharePoint, right? So now everything's good to go. I'm gonna save this. And then if I now restart this whole exercise here, and then if I were to go over to search SharePoint library, I can go in and say, give me a summary of the Power Platform Enablement Program, right? And there you go. So this goes to SharePoint to that particular document that's been uploaded in the SharePoint library, and then essentially summarizes everything, the program overview, key goals, the community building, community launch, training execution, cost and details, so on and so forth. And it's got a citation to the document as well. Fantastic, right? And it says, does this information suffice? Kindly make your choice below. Fine, I say yes. And now it goes away and says, does this information, tell us about the experience? And you say, it's great, thank you, right? And then I submit this, and that's about it, right? And then that's the that's the end. Okay, so this is how the whole structure actually works. I mean, if I had said no, it would have gone back and said, hey, look, ask away information, I'll summarize it for you, and it repeats the whole thing, right? So what we've been able to see now is actually retrieval. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to SharePoint, and it could be SharePoint, it could be Dataverse, it could be anywhere, so long as you have a table. And we have a table here called master leave. So how do you actually add a table in SharePoint? Very simple. You just go in to the base site here, your site, and then you go into a new list, and then you go into list over here, enter a name, and then you create a list, and then this goes away and literally adds a list, right? I mean, that's how simple it is to actually create a list, right? If I go to site contents here, and there you go. So there's my list. If I were to click this list, it shows you the list here, and it comes with a title column. That's a default. You can rename it, but it really doesn't matter because this is the back end source that the user will never actually see, right? So I'm going to go back to the site contents. I'm going to actually delete this guy here. I don't want this, right? Unnecessarily have more information than necessary. And I'm going to go to this one called master leave, right? So in this table here, you would have a whole slew of email addresses. Here I have got my email address. It shows me my available leave. I'll also add a column here, which is going to be a number column. I'm going to basically say next, and this is going to be leave taken, right? So the idea here is that if I were to retrieve the available leave and then ask for leave, and in case the manager actually approves it, and let's say that's 5 days, the available leave gets drawn down to the tune of the leave taken, right? So that's what's going to happen here, right? How do you build this in real life? You can go deeper and so on and so forth. It's not going to be as simple as this, I'm sure. You'll have a master table managed by HR and so on and so forth, okay? But I trust this kind of gives you a general idea, right? What I'm also noticing is that I'm running out here of battery. So I'm just going to go really quickly plug in. Kindly give me a minute. Okay, so what we're now going to do is we're going to go back over to our agent, right? We're going to go to topics here. We're going to go to system topics, conversation start, and we're going to basically add another option here that basically says leave, uh, manage leave, okay? Manage leave, okay? So this goes away as another option condition here as manage leave as well. So which we're gonna now actually see how we develop, right? So we go to our custom topics again, right? I'm gonna basically go ahead and copy this, make a copy of this, and I'm gonna actually call this as topic leave, okay? And in this is going to be a redirection as well. And here, the question is going to be a little different, right? So what I'm going to basically say here is, first of all, I'll send a message to them saying, you know, let's think through this, right? So when I select manage leave, right, the question has to be, would you like to know how many, would you like to know your leave balance, right? And that's going to be a yes or no question, right? And in fact, I could basically go in and say, you have X number of days of leave, and would you want to actually take leave, right? So that might actually be good. The moment you say manage, it just goes away and says, hey, look, by the way, you've got X number of days of leave. You say that up front, and then you ask them, hey, look, would you want to take leave, and so on and so forth. So that's the whole thing about management. Let's do it that way, right? So out here, I'm gonna basically delete all these extra questions. I don't need all this here. So delete. I'm gonna delete all these conditions as well. I don't need these as well, right? Delete this, all of the generative answers. I don't need any generative answers here because we are basically going to retrieve information, right? So I'm going to go here. As soon as this is redirected, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the available balance and put it in front of the user. How do I do this? I'm going to go here to the node, and I'm going to go add a tool here, and I'm going to actually call Power Automate. Now, what is Power Automate? Power Automate is a tool that does management of process flows. So as an example, you could be my manager, and when I apply for leave, my information needs to be put in front of you, let's say on Microsoft Teams, for you to approve, and for that information to be brought back to me and displayed on my agent, right? So to do that, you actually use this process manager, which is Power Automate, right? So I'm going to go to new agent here, and then it says don't leave. I want to save this first, and then I'm going to go to add a tool, new agent, right? So this goes away and basically gets me to Power Automate inside of the Copilot Studio. So this is a little bit of a different experience from the Power Automate, the traditional Power Automate, but we don't have to worry about that, because we are not looking at it right now. So here, the agent basically calls the Power Automate flow, and what I am going to go basically do is I'm going to basically say, I want a SharePoint action. So I'm going to basically say get items, right? When I say get items, you see from SharePoint that you have got get item, which is a single item, which precludes that you know the line item that you want, which you might not know. So we'll actually say get items here. But before we do get items, I want it to be in a variable, right? Just for for the sake of elegance, So I'm going to say variable, and then here I'm going to initialize a variable. I'm going to call this variable as var leave loop. Okay, I'll have two variables, and I'll tell you why shortly. In fact, actually, I just need one variable. I'm just going to call this var leave, and this is going to be a number variable, an integer. Okay, it's going to be an integer. I'm going to initialize it, right? There is nothing in it. I'm just going to, this is equal to 0 right now. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to basically say get items, right? When I say get items and I click on get items, because I don't know the ID of the SharePoint list, right? There could be 15 things and I don't know, is my item the fifth item? Is my email ID? This is what I'm talking about. If I go up here to SharePoint, I don't know if I go into all items here, add or remove, and then say, give me the ID of this. I don't know if this ID number 1 is my email ID or 15 or whatever. So I need to kind of filter for this is what I'm trying to say, right? So I go here and I say get items, and then my list is going to be the document merge list. So it takes a little bit and I'm going to say document merge. And in this, the list here is going to be var leave, I believe. Yeah, master leave. And here, what I'm going to do is, if I say show me all the advanced parameters, to filter, I'm basically going to say the title column is equal to, and then I'm going to basically go get my email address, right? So if I say edit in grid view, so I should be able to pick this up, right? Like so, Control C, right? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to say title is equal to my email ID, okay? And I'm going to basically say I just need one item. I don't need too many items. I just need one item that matches my email ID. And because this is a master table, right? This is a table that has distinct email IDs and the available balances for those people, right? It's a master table. So it's always going to be, 1. So I don't necessarily need to say top count here as 1 because it is going to be 1, okay? So now I've got this. I've initialized my variable. Now what I need to do is once this step is done of getting the items, I'm going to basically go ahead and I'm going to go to variable again, and I'm going to set the variable to the output of this get items. So if I say set variable, and then I'm going to basically set var leave, and the value of this is going to dynamically come from this get items. So how does it come in dynamically? Well, if you notice, there is a lightning icon here. So if I click on this one, it basically shows me the dynamic inputs. And then here in get items, I have the available leave, I have leave taken, right? And I've got get items. It looks like I already have 2 columns here. So I'm going to actually refresh this to kind of see. I've got leave taken. Let me actually say all items here. Oh, there's another column called leave taken. So I've got 2 here. So I don't need 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually delete 1, right? So this leave taken I can actually delete. I'm going to edit this column here and delete this, okay? We'll go with this one. Let me just confirm, edit. Okay, automatic, this is fine, right? So if I go over to the designer here, and I'm going to basically say leave taken, right? So now what happens when I select leave taken as a variable is that it puts this whole thing in a loop. Why does it loop? So Power Automate doesn't know that get item is only going to fetch 1 row, right? So it thinks that there could be many rows with my email ID. What I mean here is when I filter by my email ID here, Power Automate doesn't know that it's just got 1 line. There could be multiple lines with my email ID with multiple records, right? There could be. Now, we know that isn't the case, but our Power Automate here doesn't know that, right? So what it does is when we put this inside this variable, it basically loops through and then, identifies all the ones where, you have that particular value, right? So what we're going to do in this case, it doesn't matter because, the line item is distinct. So even though it loops, the last item is still going to be the first item, is just one line, right? So once it loops through, what we can do is we can pick that last value, respond to the agent. We can say this is a number value, and then we can say var AL. What is AL? Available leave. And in the value, we can go to the dynamic content, and this variable here, we can enter the final value that is brought out here in var leave and send it back to the agent, okay? So we are now done. So what we can now do is we can actually, let me just check something. We can save draft. We could do save draft here, but let me see what it does. It might actually save it temporarily here, right, as a draft. It has, and it has added a name here, right, called untitled. Now I can go in and I can actually change this to flow, flow leave manager, right? So this is going to be called flow leave manager, but for some reason it doesn't want to actually change this. If I go to overview here, let me go to overview, and then flow checker, warning, this flow is off, that's fine. And then if I go in and actually change this to flow leave manager, hit enter, let us see if it takes it. Okay, well, it took it, great, right? And then if I now go to the designer here, I should get back to where I was, and then I can go and publish this, right? So when I publish it, this should actually take me back to the agent, okay? It should. It might not, but it technically should. Let us see if it does, okay? So let us worry about the feedback later. Well, it was published, right? And if I go to flows over here, it shows me that the leave manager flow is actually here, right? So I go back to my agent, right? The enablement agent, and then I go to my topics here, and then I go over to the leave topic, right? It doesn't matter, I can always come back to the flow. Now, when I basically go in and I actually go to the node, add a tool, I should see my leave manager agent right here. So I'm gonna actually add this, right? So basically the deal is when the user goes in and then selects manage leave, it goes to the flow and retrieves the available balance and presents it to the user and says, hey boss, you've got X number of days of leave. What would you want to do with it, right? So the next action naturally is going to be here a question, and then in the question I'm going to basically say you have, and I'm going to basically go and bring this var al, which is brought in by the flow. You have 8, let us say, or 15 days of leave available to you, right? And then I'm going to basically say, would you want to take leave? And once again, you can go in and say yes or no, right? Would you want to take leave? And would you want to take leave and for me to ask your manager for approval, right? I pose a question. Now here, there's going to be multiple choice. I'm going to basically say, ask the person to do yes or no, right? Okay, binary, yes or no. And then I'm going to basically store this here in a variable, and I'm going to call this var leave, and this is going to be a topic variable. It's not going to go cross boundaries. And if it is a yes, then what I do is I ask him another question to say, how many days of leave do you actually want to take, right? But before I go there, I'm going to save this. Let us see if this actually works, right? Let us see the available leave here to begin with, okay? So this is saving it. I'm going to go over to topics again. I'm going to go to system topics, and then here I'm going to go to conversation start, and then I'm going to go over to the last one here, manage leave, plus sign, and then go to topic management, go to another topic, and I'm going to go over to topic leave, right? Connected, do the handshake, right? I'm going to save this. So this is done. And then I'm going to basically go restart the bot here. And then I'm going to say manage leave. So what this should do is it should go to SharePoint, which it duly does. And then it wants me to connect. I'm going to basically say allow. So what it now should do is, because it's connected, it should go over and allow again. Okay, let me just see credentials to get. There was some kind of an error. That's all right, because what we could do is basically saying failed to run, bad gateway. Okay, that's fine. So we go to the flow here, we go to the leave manager, and then it basically said failed. So let us see why it failed. It is saying action failed, no independent, get items. So available leave is right there. And then var is integer, cannot be set to null or empty value. And if I were to look at this, I wonder if the var available leave is actually a float. So if I were to edit this for a second, let us look at the data types here. So this is an integer, and then the data that is being brought down here could be a float. So if I were to try a float here and then set variable should be, so that is fine. So save draft, and I'm going to test this with a recently issue. Let us test it. Let me see if this actually works. Okay. We are playing with data types here. If it's an integer or a float, let us see what it does. Float cannot be set to empty or a null value. Why does it say that? It's null or empty, but I do see that the available leave here is 15. So perhaps I have the wrong variable here. So what I could do is I could delete this and then go to variable here again, and then set variable, and then out here I select var leave, and the value for this I go up and I pick it up from available leave here, right? I pick it up from available leave. Let us actually first try this as an integer. Maybe I had the wrong one. Maybe I had the wrong selection here. I don't know, right? So let us test it automatically from this. Let us see. So it's going to basically save and publish and test it again. Okay, so publish and test here. So it takes a bit of time for it to save it and run it, I suppose. Yeah, there you go, test it. Var leave integer cannot be updated. Oh, it is a float. Okay, what is coming through here is a float, right? So var integer cannot be initialized or updated with the value of float. Yeah, that's all right. We knew we were gonna basically just check it, right? So we're gonna basically select a float here. This should be fine. And then if I go here, available leave, save, test, automatically publish and test. Okay, so same deal. This should go through. Okay, ran successfully, yay, right? So we're actually getting it back. So now we go back, everything seems okay. So we're going to the agent again. I just want to make sure here we have the variable, looks great, right? So publish this. So this should be published, should be perfect, should have no issues. Okay, so this is how you test it as well, right? I mean, you go in and like ask yourself, hey, look, is everything okay? Do we have the right variable? Sometimes, you know, when you're doing this late in the evening or night, you could miss that, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon when you're basically like, you know, in food coma. So if I were to go now to topics, and if I go back to my leave topic here, all I want to do is go in here and then refresh the flow, right? I'm going to basically, is there a way? Yeah, refresh the flow. Just want to make sure that my flow is okay. So that refreshes it. And now I'm going to restart the session and I'm going to basically say manage leave, right? So this goes away now. Allow, okay. Connecting, processing, wonderful. You have 15 days of leave available to you. Would you want to take leave and for me to ask your manager for approval? This is brilliant, right? So we know this works. So now what we're going to do is go back to our topics. So I'm going to go to topics here and I'm going to go to leave topic, and then I'm going to go down here. So if it is a yes, then we need to ask a question as to how many days of leave the person would like to actually avail, right? I'm going to just check this, make sure the recording is okay. I'm going to go here and I'm going to basically ask a question and then say how many, great, I'll say great, how many days of leave do you want to request? Request, kindly give me only a number, right? Because that's it, that's the option. So I'm going to basically go up here. I want a number option. So if I scroll down here, I've got age. Age is just a number, so I could use age. So I'm going to basically say age. And this variable is basically going to be var leave request, right? Var leave. This is the request that the user is actually going to make, right? And then that's it. So I'm going to basically save this. Now, once the user provides me the leave, the number of days that the person wants to take leave, I'm going to again run a flow. And in the flow, I'm going to pass the available leave from before as well as the leave that has been requested to the flow so that it goes to the manager, and upon the manager approving it, I can reduce the available leave to the tune of the leave taken, put it back into SharePoint, and bring that value to the user and complete the process. Okay. You know, if it is no, you basically go in and say bye, right? Like we did before, but I'm not going to do it here. You can do it yourself since you've seen it before, right? So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to basically say add an agent, and then I'm going to go scroll down. I'm going to go to here, add a tool, add a tool. I'm going to basically say new agent flow. So this again goes back to our flow here. And then in our agent flow, I'm going to add two inputs, right? The first input is going to be var available leave, right? Var a leave, available leave. And then the second one is going to be var l request, leave request, right? These are both going to come from the bot, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here in my actions. I'm going to say approval. And in the approval now, I've got start and wait for an approval. This is the best approval, you know, among the standard approvals that we can choose that is appropriate, right? So I'm going to choose this, create a new approval, right? This is going to go to Teams, right, for approval. And then here, there are 4 options. Approve, reject, that is the standard one. Everyone must approve. This is the case where, let's say, someone's actually getting let go, and the administrative manager, the finance manager, so on and so forth, has to approve. We don't want that. First to respond is usually the case. And if you want, like, some custom responses, you can go with custom as well. But here, I'm just going to go with the standard approve, reject. This is the standard. I cannot deviate from this. Okay, I'm going to say first to respond. So now this goes away and says, give me a title. I'm going to say kindly review leave request, right, with, and then you can bring in as another option, you can bring in the user who's logged in as well, right? Um, very simple to do. You just add the user's name in a variable and bring it over. And you can here say, kindly review leave request for so and so, and, things of that nature, right? Time permitting, I'll show you that. So we say kindly request, request, and then you say available leave requested. Leave requested is, you have over here, whoops, you have here var leave request and leave available is there, var available, right? And you can assign it to, this is where you can bring the manager's email over and so on and so forth, and then you can have a selection of managers for the user to choose from. All of these can actually be done, but I'm in a scenario, this is not exactly the focus here as to how you bring the choice of users, and then you would do it here, right? You would actually add the manager as a selection, and then from the bot or the agent, the user would actually select the manager for that respective business unit, and that would be added as a text input here, right? But in this case, I'm just going to hand enter it. I'm going to basically say Sanjiv here is the manager, so I'm going to select that. And in the details here, I'm going to go in and basically say kindly review the following, right? I'm going to basically say, and here is where we use what's called as a markdown language. All this is in a separate video, or I'll give you the link to it, so you don't have to, you can refer to the link, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one dot space star star available leave, and then star star, so that makes the available leave bold, space colon, and then I'm going to copy this available leave from here. Then the next one down is going to be one dot. So when I do one dot in both places, the end result is going to be an ordered list of 1, 2, so on and so forth, okay? So here I'm going to say leave taken and star star space colon, and then I'm going to go ahead and then say leave request, right? And that's about it. And you can keep going if you can add other stuff as well, the name of the person and so on and so forth, okay? So I'm done here. Now this is going to go over to, I'm going to like minimize this. So now this is basically I minimize this as well up here on the top if I can. Doesn't let me, there you go. Okay, so now from here I'm going to add a condition. If this is going to be approved, then what? If it's not, then what, right? So if I go here and call, I think condition should be right up here. Well, let me search for it, right? If I say condition, there you go, conditions right here. So now if this previous step, the outcome of this step, start and wait for an approval. So let's look for the outcome. Start and wait for an approval is right here. Response summary, completion, outcome, right? If the outcome is equal to approve, and it has to be exactly spelled the same way, capital A, P, P, R, O, V, E. If that is true, then what are we going to do? Well, if that is true, we're going to actually take the difference between the available leave and then the leave taken, and and then we're going to update the available leave with that, right? So we're going to basically say, well, first of all, we need to know which item to actually update. So we need to bring that over as well, right? And so to do that, we are basically going to go over, and then if I say update item, we need to know which item to update, isn't it? Right? So for that, before we go for the approval, let me just see here. We need to go up here, and then we need to do the same thing, get item, right? We need to get the item, so for which we do get items over here, and then in the and in this case, maybe what I could do is I could just show you, since we did get items before, I could show you what get item does here, okay? Both, right? Just for your knowledge, right? So I'm just gonna say get item, right? This is just for your knowledge. I don't know if I necessarily need to do it here, because if I'm gonna actually just update the first item, I might as well just put it in the update as well, because I know the ID, okay? So we'll come back to this shortly. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just delete this right now, okay? I'm gonna just delete this right now. I'm just actually trying to think through, let me do one thing, and I'll come back to you in a second, okay? I'll tell you what I'm doing in a second. I'm going to basically go to a variable, initialize a variable. I'm going to call this var ID, and then I'm going to make this an integer, okay? And then I'm going to go to get items, and then from here I'm going to go to the site address, which is our document merge, and then I'm going to go to the SharePoint list, which is var master leave, and then in all the parameters here, I'm going to basically say filter this, title is equal to my email ID, which is Sanjiv at prudential-consulting.com. So I'm going to basically say Sanjiv at prudential-consulting.com, okay? And then that is basically going to give me that particular item. And then when I loop through this, I'm going to say set variable, and then here I'm going to basically say variable, right? I need a variable. So initialize set variable, and I'm going to basically say var ID, and the value is going to come from the ID. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm gonna essentially, I don't know which line item is my email ID. So I'll have to loop through. When I loop through, basically, I'll have to filter, right? So I filter by my email ID. Now, Power Automate doesn't know that there's only one line item, so it's gonna loop through, and it's just gonna pick up that one particular ID that I can go update later. Okay, so I'm going to basically say ID here, give me that particular ID, right? And it's looping through here, okay? And then when I go in here, if the outcome of the step is actually a yes, I go in and then I update, right? I can update item here, update item, that particular line item. So I can say update item. And then here, I know my site, I know my list, over here. If I go in, I know master leave. But which ID do I use? Well, from this step here, from the get items, when I said title equals Sanjiv and it looped through and picked the last item, right? There's only one item. We know there's only one item from the master table, right? So we now also know which ID from the step. So I'm going to basically go to ID here, and then I'm going to pick that variable, which is var ID. Okay, so from this I know which ID. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, well, the title is already there. The available leave here, the leave taken I can put down, right? The leave taken is whatever is been requested and that has been approved, right? So that's the leave taken. But when it comes to available leave, I need to subtract out the leave taken from the available leave. That's going to be the new available leave, right? So I'm going to basically go to a formula, the function in this case, and then I believe the one for subtracting is sub, and then if I use the bracket says, well, give me the big number, give me the small number to subtract. So the big number here is going to be from the dynamic content. The big number is going to be what? It's going to be available leave, comma, give me the leave request, right? And I'm going to add this, right? So the available leave is now going to be the difference of the two. So I'm going to select that. And then this gets updated. The SharePoint's basically going to update with that, okay? And I'm going to start minimizing. And once that is done, I'm going to actually respond back to the agent with the two variables. I'm going to basically say var new available leave is equal actually now same formula. I have to do the same formula. I'm basically going to say is sub what? Dynamic content, go to var, where is this? Available leave minus the var leave request. And then I'm going to add this. So that subtracted amount is actually going to go back to the agent. That's the new leave, okay? So I'm done here with this flow, okay? I'm done here with this flow, okay? Let me just see, respond back. For some reason, it's actually looping through this whole thing. Oh no, this is, what is this? Get items. Oh, did I pick the wrong one? I think I picked the wrong one. I need to delete this guy. Okay. And then I'm going to basically say respond back. Is there a human in the loop? Respond to the agent, okay? I'm going to add an output over here, and this is going to be a number. And I'm going to say var, what shall we call this? Var new available leave. And then once again, go to the formula and then subtract. And then over here, go dynamic content. And then we go to var available leave minus var leave request, okay? And click OK. So that is done. We are good to go, right? So we save draft here, okay? We save draft. So that is saving it. This should be good to go. Then we need to change the name. We go to overview and then we change the name here, right? So we're going to call this flow leave manager, leave approval, okay? Approval. So save this. So this goes away, gets saved. And if I go to the designer right now, things seem okay. So I'm going to publish this, okay? So this is getting published. Okay, so this is published now. So if I now go over to my agent and then I'm going to go to the topics and I'm going to go over to my leave topic, right? And once I go to my leave topic, if I go down here, so the question, how many days of leave do you want? And I have this. Once I got this, I go to the flow, right? I go to the flow here and then I go to tools and then I'm going to basically go to flow. Let me just see here. Do I have that? If I type flow and leave approval, is right there, right? So I'm going to take this flow leave approval. So this needs the available leave and the leave request. So if I click on this here, I have my var available leave, right? I have my var available leave coming in from, where is it coming in from? My var leave, save user, multiple choice, question, you have X number of days of leave, and let's just check this, var al, this is the available leave, right? And then, so we go up here and then we say var available leave, and then the request is here, var leave request. The request is here, so I'm going to go to var leave request. Okay, so this will give you the available leave. This is going to give you the leave requested by the user, and the output is going to be the new available leave, and then of course, you know, whatever has been requested. So I'm gonna, so this is done, this action is done. I'm going to save this first, and from here I'm going to send a message to the user to say X number of days of leave is what you actually have. And you know, the manager as well, first of all, the manager actually approved your leave request of X number of days, and then the balance leave that you have, the new balance is like so, right? So go down here, send a message now. So I'm going to go over here and then send a message and then say, you know, your manager has approved your leave, and the new leave balance is, and then you go in and then you have the var new available leave, and then new available leave, and then you present it to the user. Okay, there you go. And you can keep going this way, you can build this out, right? Is basically, you know, over here, if the condition is, hey, look, do you want to take leave, yes or no? If it is a yes, you ask them how many days of leave, and you put that in the leave request, and then you send it to the manager. And there are two paths here, isn't it, in the flow? The one path is the yes path, and we brought it back. Now, if it could be the no path as well. If it's going to be the no path, then the response back to the, you know, bot is, or the agent is going to be different. It's going to basically say, hey, look, sorry, you know, I cannot give you any leave. Okay, so we can handle that as well, but I'll let you do that. It's very similar to what we have done here, right? So I'm going to save this, right? I'm going to save this, and let us run this whole thing now. Okay, let us run this whole thing. I think this is already connected to the, so to the conversation start, so we can start from scratch now. So I'm going to basically say manage leave. So this should go away. It should actually 15 days of leave, right? And it says, would you want me to take would you want to take leave and for me to ask your manager? Sure, yes, right? So now the flow starts, and it says, great, just give me a number. So I want 5 days of leave, right? So now the flow should start. Again, I'm going to basically say, let's go get you connected first, and then I can find the information. Once connection is ready, retry your request. Okay, I'm going to go to connection manager here, and you got to read what it says, right? And I'm going to basically say connect, and then it says pick a connection, which is fine. It's going to do the approval connection and so on and so forth. Right, there you go. And then I'm going to submit this, so it goes away and says, hey, look, you're connected, and off you go. Right, so we are good to go now, so we can close this, right? And now it has done it. Let us retry this, right? So it's retrying it. So once it does it, what it does is we should go over now to Teams, right? There you go. So the Teams approval has actually come through. So if I go to Teams here, and what it's going to do is it will show me an approval request on the top, right? I could have gone to my Teams here as well on my PC. but I chose to go online. It really doesn't matter where you do this, you know. So it is setting things up. This is going to take some time. It may actually basically time out. Let us just see. Sometimes it takes time, sometimes it's quick. Okay, we go up here, Teams request, and now you see that the request has actually come through. It says available leave is 15, leave taken. I'm going to basically say okay, and then approve this. So if I go back here, it's been approved now, right? The output parameter var on flow is missing from the response data. Let me just see what happened to the flow. Let's go to the flow and flow leave approval. And then it says succeeded actually, which is great. So it's gone in and it has actually sent it back to the agent as well, right? And it says properties, show raw output, body is, let me just see the, let's just see the SharePoint if it updated. Oh yeah, it did the SharePoint. You see from 15 to 10 and leave taken is 5. So this works brilliantly. And then if I go back here, inputs, let's just edit this for a second, right? So we go down here to, oh, there is no value here. Oh, that's interesting. That's a bit odd. That's a bit odd. What we could do is there should have been a formula here. What happened to the formula? And I'm going to basically say subtract. What is subtracting? Open. We are basically going to subtract the var available leave and var leave request, right? So I add this and then I save the draft and then I publish this, right? And then I publish it, so this should get published. And so I'm going to go up here, I'm going to change this actually back, edit in grid view, change it back to 15, change this back to 0, leave taken as 0, okay? Exit. So let us test this again, right? So this seems okay, go back to the agent, right? And then go to topics, then go to the leave topic again, right? Go to the leave topic. And then if we scroll down here, we should find our flow. And all we need to do is basically refresh the flow, right? And that seems okay. And if I were to go to the flow details again, and then edit this flow, can I edit it in the designer? And then I just want to make sure, yeah, there you go, the formula is there, right? Back to the agent. Let us test this once more, right? And this goes away, restarts the whole thing. There you go, manage leave. And then it does its thing right now, 15 days, yes. And it's going to ask me for a number. I'm going to say 5. Approval, okay, so there's my approval request. And then I say okay and approve this. Go back to the agent. There you go, brilliant, right? It now says your manager has approved your leave and the new leave balance is 10, okay? And we can keep going like so, you know, you can basically say, then end conversation, thank you very much, you rate it, so on and so forth. So this kind of completes the whole bot, right? So I'm going to go ahead and actually, so once we have got the bot done, right? So this is how you develop an end-to-end bot, right? So this is a bot which is actually done retrieval and it's actually done task management, right? So now you can do other things with the bots as well, right? You can add triggers to the bot as an example. Right now, we are basically triggering the bot. So if I say new test session here, you see the bot is just triggering by itself, right? Instead of doing that, we could actually, if I go to the overview here, we could trigger it up here from a variety of sources. As an example, when an email is actually sent to you, right? So if I go in here, where is this email, right? When a new email arrives, with a PDF attachment or something, you can trigger a flow. So that, that's a different session that I'm going to actually do. But then there are many, many possibilities with agents. You can have one agent that is a weather agent. You have another Uber agent that calls the weather agent and then does something else. So many possibilities here. What I'm talking about is agents here. I could have, I could link up agents. I could go in and actually have a child agent, like a weather agent, so on and so forth, like multiple possibilities here, okay? So we are not going to discuss that, but I'm just trying to say that there are many possibilities, right? So once you have your agents all done, you need to publish it. So I'm going to basically go say publish, and then I'm going to say, publishing this, it publishes it to the environment, so it'll be available within the environment, right? So how do you consume it, right? How do you actually consume this now that this is published? So what you do is you go to channels, and there are many different channels for us to actually pick. The easiest channel for us to actually pick would be Microsoft Teams, right? So we go to channels here, and then we select Microsoft Teams here. Okay, this is the best channel that as end users we could pick, right? I wouldn't pick a demo website, I would go to Teams, right? So when I go to Teams over here, it says, make agent available in Microsoft Copilot. Let us say add channel, right? So it's gone away. I'm adding channel to Microsoft Teams as well as to Microsoft 365 Copilot. We'll see that later, okay? Two places in, two things in one go. Microsoft 365 Copilot as well as to Teams, okay? So, great. And then fine, it says publish, okay, fine, okay. And then it says, C agent in Teams. You see over here, C agent in Teams. So I'm going to actually click on, and then it says, I want to open this. Fine, go ahead, open it. And now it says, hey, look, I want to be able to add the agent, and it works across Teams. So I'm going to basically add that. And then it goes away now, and it embeds this agent right within Teams. Successfully added. So if I open this, where you go, right? So if I, it says, chat here, and I'm going to say greetings. Let us see what it does, right? And it says, greetings, I'm Jeannie, your friendly virtual agent, Baba Black Sheep, and here's generic search, uploaded document, search website, SharePoint library, and same manage leave. If I do the manage leave, it's the same exact thing, right? And it says allow credentials. I'm going to say allow here, right? Because now it is sitting within the context of Teams. So that's the reason why it is asking for all this. So connect, and then pick connections, because it is sitting in the context of Teams, okay, is the reason why it is asking again. Earlier it was sitting within the context of just the, the Copilot Studio. So you need to redo this here. So I'm going to submit this. So now this is actually done, okay. So now that this is actually done, I'm good to go, and I'm going to go to Teams again. My Teams here, right? This is the Teams that I had. So I'm going to basically say retry. And then it says, you have 10 days of leave. Would you want to take more leave? I'll say, sure, right? And it says, hey, how many days of leave do you want? I'm going to basically say, I want like just one day of leave, right? And then this goes away. Now it sends me a request, right? Because the other flow is also, there you go. So I go up here and then request, and then it basically says available, leave taken as 1. I'm going to say okay, approve this, and then the whole process is actually done. You follow me? So your manager has approved leave, and that's your new leave balance, right? and this is done, right? So this is how I would actually, and then, if I go to my, if I go back here and go to my M365 Copilot, I can actually see all my agents here as well, right? If I go to all agents, I should be able to see my other agents here as well, because we have published it here, right? So that's the beauty, if you will, of the Copilot Studio, is once you, right, and then it says, see agent in Microsoft 365. If I click that, and then it says, welcome, how can I help you? You see, enablement agent. Same exact thing. If I say greetings, it goes away and then says same exact interface. Takes a minute or so for it to get kick-started, and then, yeah, hello, so I hope you're doing well, how can I assist you, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is my enablement agent, right? If I say greetings here, let me just see if it is being, yeah, it's a different interface, interesting. Maybe I need to do a couple checks here. Let me just see, right? I think I need to do a couple more checks on this one. So I'm gonna actually delete this guy. I'm not going to go further with this agent, because I think there are a couple configurations that I still need to do, perhaps with with my agent here. Okay, perhaps I need to do a little bit more. Let me just see. Because it is supposed to work exactly like it did on Teams. Yeah, it is doing something different. I think I need to check my config on this one. Perhaps I'll do a different video on this one, because I need to check the configs here, right? But for now, on Teams is the best place. You don't have to use it anywhere else. On Teams is the best place. Okay. With this, I'll stop here, folks. So this gives you a full end-to-end picture of going from A for Apple, like from your overview to actually your knowledge sources, to your topics, to your channels on Teams, and then building the whole thing out. So this is both retrieval and task management. Thank you very much.